Okay, and I think I'm just waiting for it to load on Facebook, so like that we know we're live there. We know we already started recording over here, guys. This is Grandmaster Jerry Fast Food Fontanez, and I am excited because we got a chance to do part two of what was the initial interview that didn't record well because it gave us it was but right now we are live. All right, guys, here we go. Grandmaster Jerry Fast Food Fontanez once again back. It's the incredible, and we're meeting today with Sifu Jose Sanchez. How you doing, sir?
All right. Us.
Us one. So let's start off again. What was your inspiration, desperation, and motivation to start in the martial arts? What's your story? Talk to me.
My story is yeah, I was born in 1958. I go way back early 70s and early 80s and yeah, a lot of Batman, a lot of Green Hornets.
So you watched. So your inspiration to martial arts was television, you say, and you was watching
Yeah,
Batman. The Green Hornet was on there. That it?
yeah, and my father used to take me out to the movies to see Godzilla and all these things. And other than that, that's how I got into the martial arts and always looking at the Green Hornet and Batman and stuff like that, and I got involved. Just looking at those, you know. And then one day I went to the movies and I pulled to see and back then they used to give 3 movies for price of what, $2-3. And that day they had, I think I remember good, it was Godzilla, Hercules, and Into the Dragon. Enter the Dragon, I think it was, yes. And I saw the guy like he was something else, skinny guy, I didn't know who the heck it was. And the day I found out that it was supposed to be the Kato, I put one and one together. I couldn't believe it was the same guy I was always looking up to when I was younger. It was crazy.
When you saw the movie, you realized it was the same person. And how soon after that did you go? That must have been around 1974, probably 1973, probably
Yeah,
74.
72, 73. Yeah. They used to give the series and TV. And
So where was this to, and how did you find out about that school? I think you went to town first, and then right, that's what it was.
yeah, I was working with my father and selling ice cream and ice cream trucks in the Bronx. And my father knew that I love I liked the martial arts, and I used to see my father get picked on all the time. I needed to learn.
So your father was an entrepreneur selling ice cream in the Bronx, but were you guys living in the Bronx or were you living in Brooklyn?
No, Brooklyn. But the we used to
So
be
all the way
between.
from Brooklyn to the Bronx.
Yep, meet him. We get together, take the truck. That's where you had the truck, the ice cream truck at, And we used to talk about martial arts all the time, me and my father. And one day we go to Chinatown and we started hunting for schools. And then one day I just walked it down to it was a Chinese kung fu school, but it was like in the basement, underground. Everything was underground back then, and all the schools and stuff like that. And I went there. They looked at me up and down. They said I'm not supposed to be there, and this and that. I went to another one. They told me the same thing, and I told them that the best I could. That I needed to. I wanted to learn martial arts. I wanted to learn kung fu, and one of them gave me an address in Williamsburg, and that's where I met my teacher. That Anthony Lau, Tony Lau, and some other karate persons that were there. I think one of them was your master.
Well, I think
He
the
was
other
there.
gentleman was, yeah, it wasn't my instructor was Sanchez Ken, but the person that was there, I
No,
believe, was Archie Rulin doing Goju,
Archie, Archie
right?
Rulin. Yeah, Archie Rulin. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
there, and the other one, there was another one with glasses. I forgot his name, but they were like they were up there. I was like, wow, I started taking class with the Kung Fu masters, Chinese Tony Lau, and after a while, and he saw me going there for a while, and my father just left me there, and ever since then I've been doing the Hung system ever since then. You know.
So the start was Hung Kung Fu. You go to the school. Finally, their school in Brooklyn was actually teaching non-Asians actual martial arts lessons because at that time, like you said, the Chinese were just teaching this style to only Chinese people,
Yeah,
which is
it was
kind of
very
crazy.
hard
But
to
but
it was very hard to get accepted by to one of the and back then in a Chinese um kung fu school, traditional kung fu. But then I started going to
so you go
tournaments.
okay, so you go to the school, they allow you to join. They had other styles in there combined, but you focused on the Hung Kung Fu. And then I believe you was able to, like you said, go to some tournaments. And at some point, you got start going to the underground tournaments at Fujao Pai,
Yeah,
which was crazy, right?
that was crazy. That was my Sifu always wanted me to compete, but and back then it was like the idea was to learn how to defend myself. Now I wasn't really that, and I just wanted to learn how to defend myself, not to hurt or anything. Take it, but some of these tournaments, that if you don't defend yourself, they'll knock your head off. It was full contact, no gloves, no nothing. you know. And from there, I started getting used to it. I started getting used to getting hit, me hitting, and I started going to tournaments, full contact tournaments. And that time, every time there was a tournament, my Sifu would call me, Jose, you need to be here. And then and my other classmates, they were there too. And from tournaments to tournaments, back then there was always a tournament almost every week. There was always a tournament. And yeah, so
So now these tournaments, some of them were karate also, and some of them were um, Chinese only, and you had to go represent for the school, right? That's what he wanted you to do.
yes, he always wanted used to call me to represent either doing forms with weapons or fighting, you know. And most of the tournaments that I used to go to were more like kung fu tournaments. When I would try to go to an open tournament, they had a lot of rules of when it was karate or any other styles involved. They had a lot of rules, and you had to use how you call it, cups, protective gears and stuff like that. I wasn't
Safety
used to
equipment.
a lot of rules, you know.
Got you. Now, was there ever a time, because you had mentioned that you wanted to train to help protect your father who got pretty much abused, and did he
Yes,
ever get
that's
robbed
one
or
of
anything like that?
exactly. That's one of the reasons I really got into it. That my sister would pull me to tournaments and full contact, and I was always, because back then my father used to run a store in Puerto Rico, and I was between New York and Puerto Rico, and till he decided to come down here, that I came with him. Because I was always they wasn't together, me and my mother and my father, and I was always traveling from New York to Puerto Rico and back. I was always watching out for my father because my father was always getting jumped back then, and he used to do. He was a taxi driver too, and he would come all the time with his glasses upside down and getting beat up or something. And I would find out where he got beat up, who beat him up, and take care of business. But
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So you he was your father's protector. He wasn't there. Was there anything that ever happened while you was there that you was able to stop?
yeah, they try to stab him one time. They try to stab him, and I defended myself. I defended him, and I got cut in my arm, and. But what can you do? It's a life and death. It's your father. And
So
my
was that
father
in New
not.
York? Was this in New York or was this in Puerto Rico stuff?
This was in Puerto Rico.
So people would think Puerto Rico, Caribbean islands, safe. No, he's here. Puerto Rico is known for the knives, and everybody was strapped, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was a bad area where I lived it in Puerto Rico. It was how the caseríos are over there.
Hey
You
guys, the
know.
Cacerillo is equivalent to the projects or the ghetto, the hood, as they call it today. But um, was it? It wasn't in Calle Luna like Hector Rabo said, right? But it was
Yeah, that's over there.
what part of what
That
part
was
of
in
Puerto Rico was it?
they call it Guaynabo. You know, was the Guaynabo, that's like in the metropolitan area, you know. So and it was a really hot area there, you know, back then. But other than that, after my father came to New York and he settled down, everything was cool. And then I started teaching for the police athletic league and boys and girls club.
How
Um,
many years after to get a timeline? So it seems like you was training in the 19 early to mid 70s. How
yes,
long before you actually started teaching at the PAL and the YMCA and the Boys Club?
that was in the late '80s. In the late '80s, I started teaching in the boys and girls club in Flatbush, and then at the same time the police athletic league. You know, after work, I would go straight to these places. You know, and
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working in the docks and with the in the ship with in the docks and times and Manhattan and the shipping lanes over there in those docks where they have the military ship over there. How they call it
The Intrepid?
the Intrepid right there. That so my job was to maintain the whole place. You know, with a big
Wow.
machine up and down. You know.
So was there a time that you couldn't train in the martial arts for a while because life got in the way, or were you always
I
just
was
doing what
always
you
training, even in my job. I would find a spot and do my forms. You know, they thought I was crazy because some of my people that work with me, they said like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, see me kicking and punching.
yeah, not a normal thing. People, I think, when you first started training in martial arts, and especially, were there a bunch of gangs in your neighborhood too?
Yeah, there was a bunch of there was always gangs walking around, and sometimes you couldn't do these things because you don't know if they watching you on this and that. But most of the time they never bother me or anything, you know. But reverse. One time we did in the school we did an exhibition, a kung fu exhibition in the South Side, Williamsburg, and between the karate practitioners and the kung fu, we got together, did a an exhibition, and they were the one that was screaming, and they were like, "Go on, go!" Yeah, they were happy seeing us over there doing all kung fu, karate, and breaking boards and doing all kind of stuff. And they really thought that, you know. And then we did. I remember that we did a routine. Me and one of my classmates, we put these little rubber little things, capsules with blood, fake blood, and they really thought that we were hitting each other for real, you know, like putting the hand through the chest and stuff like that, you know. And they started screaming. They thought it was for real. They were a bunch of gang guys over there, you know, and they was jumping up and down like that. They didn't realize that the blood was fake. It was just fake blood. They loved this.
So here you have this unique location that actually has both a Japanese style of goju, because Anthony say Archie Ulan was, I think they called the school Yin Yi Kwan. That was that
Unique,
the actual, is that
exactly.
it?
Yes,
They used to promote tournaments. Those guys used to throw 3 tournaments a year in Bishop Ford High School, if I'm correct.
yes. I went to one there too. I got pictures and videos of that one.
Well, how about this? One of the days at one of those tournaments, there was a demonstration with gentlemen that laid down with better nails, and they put cinder blocks on them, and
Mm,
then somebody would hit a wedge. My job was cinder blocks and clear them out after they broke them. And my friend Nunes smashed my finger on the sledgehammer at one of those Yin Yi tournaments, and I almost lost my finger.
mm. Who knows? Maybe I was there and I saw that because I used to go to half of all the tournaments they used to throw. Especially, and when I wasn't competing, I was helping out.
Or at the Yin Yi tournaments, people used to come from all over. Billy Blanks was there, Cynthia Rock way before the movies, Toyotawa Miyazaki. So they were probably the biggest um, rated between them and George Benz with the Galaxy of the Stars. They were tournaments that we used to go because they were Region 11 for Karate Illustrated. So if you won there, you get points to get rated. So
Mm,
many people that I even saw um, the famous, probably the instructor. 'Cause I believe that Archie Rulin was a student of Peter Urban. So he
yes,
might have come from the Chinatown dojo,
yeah. Peter
you know?
Irvin was that was exactly yes, yes,
They had a guy like Bill Louis that was also part of what would have been um, Chinese American Goju, and they have Ron Van Cleef, Chinese Goju. So there was always
yeah.
been a correlation between the sword, which I don't
They
know if we can call Hungar soft stock, because Hungar's very strong. Where the rings, say some
yeah.
of the weapons that you guys use.
Yeah, the rings. They knew me by my rings because they always used to say, "Oh, well, they used to call me." Since I used to use the rings a lot when I was younger, since I was always with the ring,
Can you explain to people who may not understand what that is?
that's internal strength, like it helps with your chi, and it helps a lot with your bones. It helps you la resistencia.
It makes you resistant.
Yeah,
So
your breathing, especially.
rings, these rings, see them in kung fu movies. How much do they weigh? Because I know when they come together, they become almost like a way to block what would be metal too, right? Or
Yeah, no,
swords.
they're not. Nah, they're not to block them. It's not like in the movies. Sometimes they use them. Nah, it's nothing like that. That's yes, those rings are only used to do breathing exercises and to get your forearms and your horse stands. You
Are they
know,
heavy?
yes, each of them depending because they got different rings. They got different weights on them. Mine's weigh 3 to 4 pounds.
And how many of those were on your wrist, or I should say on your forearm?
6 in each arm.
Whoa. So we're talking about an additional 20, 30 pounds on top of that. It's hard enough to hold your hands up. Now you're using this with the ring. So it's almost like lifting weights. Well, it is lifting weights.
Yeah, so that it conditions your arm, your shoulders, your horse stand, your back, and but without your breathing, you're not gonna last too long. You need to get your breathing together. So
Yeah,
that helps me it helps me a lot.
I would assume that the breathing would be in the stomach or the diaphragm, not just in your chest, correct?
Exactly. It's all from the stomach, you know?
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. So in addition to the weapons and the fighting and what would be actually mention some of the weapons that you might have used, because I think people don't realize how heavy some of those weapons really are.
Yeah, I specialize in all 18 weapons.
18 weapons. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it all depends which ones. Some of
Well,
them are lighter.
mention a few of them because I'm telling you right now, that sounds very impressive. It's like the 18 bronze. You got 18 weapons. This is awesome.
Yes, like you got the dando, the kwando, you got the triple staff, you got the hook saws.
Now,
I could keep on. There's so many different
did
weapons.
you have butterfly knives too?
The butterfly knives, yeah, the iron fan,
Spear, spear,
the spear, the iron fan,
oh, iron sword,
the
broadsword,
saws, the broadsaws. They have the hook saws,
daggers.
the
How about
daggers,
short weapons? Daggers.
yeah,
Any chains?
the whip change. They
Oh my
got different styles of whip chains. They got the short whip chains. They got the long one. They got all different
man.
ones.
So they got 5 links, 7 links, 9 links.
Yes, and some of the thickness of it. They're all different. And there's nothing never the same.
Wow.
So
So 18
and
different weapons, and you had to learn each of these weapons.
yeah, so there's certain weapons when you learn a certain skill in the hung system. It's good always to learn at least one or two weapons. and I wanted to learn all of them, you know, and that was one of the fights between me and my Sifu, you know. And my Sifu used to, you know, they're very strict. They said, when once you learn one, that's it, you know. But I used to tell them I want to learn all of them, you know, and I want to learn as much as I could. I always wanted to learn more, you know. But you know, in martial arts, you need patience, you know, and that was one thing that I didn't have.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. Where how was what was the longest amount of time that you did not compete? Was there a time that you took a little break? Wasn't any more tour, or maybe life was in the way? Maybe you have a few children too.
No, I took a break at my girlfriend, not my wife now. She gave birth, and I took a break from there for a while, you know, and started getting started working in security for a while, you know, on and off, you know, because I was always worried about her when she was pregnant, you know, so it was difficult for me to like leave her alone, you know, in my place in my apartment, and taking care of her as much as I could, you know, and going to work and coming out of work, flying back to the house and as fast as I could to take care of her, you know.
And what age was your son or child, or even before chance to go back?
Excuse me, what was that?
At what age were your children when you actually went back to training?
Oh wow. um Now.
Oh, so you took a long break and you started um well, you competed a few years ago too, right? So
I did
you
no,
competed
I competed on and off, you know. I
even though
took
you wasn't training, you still competed, or you
Yes,
was training on your own.
I was training on my own, and before I went to the tournaments I was training on my own, you know, and I competed. I gone to Boston, I gone to Buffalo. um yeah, those are the two places that I competed in Puerto Rico, but the last tournaments that I started before I stopped martial arts, that I slowed down, was in Boston and Buffalo.
And again, these were kung fu tournaments.
Yeah, that was the first time. In one of them, that was the first time I got introduced to Thai boxing.
Whoa. So you're talking about contact sports and people getting really potentially injured.
Oh yeah, yeah. That the Boston tournament it was one of the most dangerous ones we went, because we wasn't ready. We wasn't ready to compete against Thai boxers, and that time I didn't even know. I didn't have no idea who what style was, you know, Thai boxing was just coming out or whatever. And when we went from New York. We were representing New York City, New York, and we went to Boston. There was about five of us, and we went. And I was the last one that fought of the team. I was the last one. Then I saw these guys, and they're from Thailand, and they started dancing, and my classmates were laughing, and I'm over there like, oh, I'm laughing. I wasn't laughing, but I was like curious, like, what the heck they doing, you know? And they started that, you know, they were doing these weird things in the map, and once my classmates went up there, the first one went up there, there was no match. And the blows, the guys was just kicking elbows, and no match. And the next one went, no match. I said, oh my God, man, I think I'm not, I think I'm going to give up before I get up there, you know? I'm looking at my teacher, my master, I'm looking at him, and I said, like, why you ain't told us? Why you ain't got us, you know, ready for this, you know? And then like, expect the unexpected, you know? And I'm over there like, what? You know? I was kind of upset, you know, because we could have get hurt.
So in your match that day, what did you end up doing?
I yes, I was just trying to avoid his knees and kicks, you know, because every time I block one, it looked like my arms gonna fly off my shoulders, you know. And every time I try to block, I thank God that and I ain't got to get hit. But then all the blocking and all the try to avoid him, because he was just coming at me from he jumped from one side of the ring with a knee. I don't know how he got to me, like to my side. I just saw him jump, and then suddenly I see this guy up in the air with a knee. I said, "What?" And I avoided him, but I don't know what he did. That he from the air he did like what is I don't know, a kick or elbow. We couldn't see. I blocked it, but I felt the power,
Impact.
the impact. Yeah. And then the judge came and he stopped it, and then he looked at me, and then he was looking at my arm, and my arms are all like black and blue, and then I had like a bump, and one of my arms and my wrist had like a bump. He came with a he called me to the corner with a little needle. He just did like this, and I started bleeding, and they stopped the fight right there, and I was over there like I was serious. I was praying. I said, "Thank you." I would
Oh,
have.
so after that tournament, once you get home, what did you start? Did your training start to change, and you realize, oh my God, I have to learn other things?
Oh, I exactly. That's when I started saying to myself, look, I need to learn some other. I never learned some other. I was always focused in the hung system and the tiger crane and five animals and we used to spar a lot, and boxing and stuff like that. But this was completely different, because where I ain't seen nobody that used knees and the knees,
Elbows and knees.
elbows, coming up with the elbow, coming down with the elbow, and the fist
So
that was just like in the kicks at the roundhouse today, if you don't get your legs out, they'll break your legs right off. I'm over here like we had a big lecture with the Sifu with my Sifu. We all sat down with him and we were kind of upset because and then he would just say like you have to be ready for anything that comes. And we started training for those against kickboxers and other styles. That's when we open. That's when the
another process.
philosophy. That's that philosophy. Bruce Lee comes out and learn a little bit of everything.
Wow. So for those of you who may know, in Thai boxing, meaning Thailand, they do a dance ritual, and what they're really doing is taking the evil away from the ring, and it's a whole ritual more with music. They do
Yeah,
that
and
dance.
after that, I got into it in the books and learning more about the style and it's they call it the eight limbs something eight
Yeah,
limbs
eight you with everything: fist, wrist, elbow, knee. They even got
yes.
techniques for their head too.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I'm telling you, like when we came back, I was the only one inside that van without a scratch. I'm talking about in the face, or I had some black and blues in my arms, and I had a little bandage in my little in my wrist, a little bandage. And I was talking, and saying, we should have do this, we should have do that. And they came out that my classmate, what you talking so much? You know, look at your face. You ain't got hurt. Look at my lips. The other guy, look at my eye. Look at this. You coming back with a little bandage.
they didn't know what to expect since it was the last person you saw what happened. You're like,
Yeah.
I ain't.
Exactly. That's what they were telling me. You knew because I was the last one, So they started goofing on me because of
So you
that,
learn, you learn how to survive.
Yeah, there was we didn't expect it. It just it wasn't like they thought they were just gonna fight like boxing and get up there and get in the ring and no. And these guys, there was no skinny guys there. These guys were solid. They were like pretty strong. They were kind of
Well, people
short,
don't
but they were
realize that
strong.
the history behind Thai boxing is that had the slaves fighting and kicking banana trees. Like these guys are no joke. they can even kick wood and even metal with their shin. So they hit you, and it's no joke. So I remember you mentioned there were some famous martial artists that competed. Some of them were kung fu stylists like Paul Vizio, but you mentioned Ralph Mitchell, who was one of the guys to this very day. He's pretty still in shape, huh?
Oh, Ralph Mitchell's yeah, a great guy, great guy, great a great teacher, and we train, I study under him too. He taught me a few moves. He was in my same federation, and I owe him a lot because me and my Sifu we parted for a while, and because I did an exhibition in a tournament with what they call it the double saber. It's a two just two swords, at the same time. So I was using that sword, and then I didn't ask permission to do it.
Yeah, so it was very controlled back then. If you went to a tournament, you had to go with the blessings of the school, or sometimes you competed and it was to go represent the school. So it's very controlled coming from the Chinese or the Asian arts. Does the same thing, and even the Japanese and Okinawans.
So that's when I stopped going to tournaments when he banned me from tournaments.
Oh, you're the bad boy. Put
Yeah,
your
he
time out.
he banned me from the tournaments and because of Sifu and Ralph Mitchell, you know. They both talk and they had there was another tournament in the Bronx that I wanted to compete, and then Ralph Mitchell talked for me and everything was okay, like if nothing would have happened. I'm over there like, that's it? You okay? And then wow,
So you was
that
back. You back in the mix again. So let me ask you: was there ever a time where you actually opened up a school teach or anything like that?
open up a school. No, I used to teach I did open up a school in Williamsburg, in a center back in the wow, that was in the about 83, 1983, 84, and opened up a center. There was a center there, and it was part of the police athletic league. I started teaching young kids and ladies there, and I had a few students there, and then I had the Guardian Angels came down, challenging, like if
Oh
this was
wow!
some kind of movie and stuff like that. I'm over here like, I told them yes to sit down to enjoy the class, but they wanted to spar, and then I said, "You want to spar? You have to spar with one of my students, because the act like if it's a movie, who's the teacher, you know?" And then that time I was a skinny bone and short little guy was skinny, and the guys I was training they were pretty big, and I say, they said I'm the teacher, and then they say, oh, you wanna know? I don't spar, but I'll let one of my students spar with you, and that was it.
How did the students do?
He cleaned the floor with him.
Wow.
It was no joke. You can't go inside a school like in the movies and think you're gonna get that you just got a spa and everything's gonna be goody goody goody. Then I was gonna hit you for real.
Yeah, that's called dojo knocking, where people would go to try to bully to see, just like in the movies, to see if that school was real. So I remember you telling me that years after you actually did a partnership deal when you went to New Jersey and opened up an actual formal school there too.
Oh yeah, yes, I did with two so-called friends, that I thought they were friends, and things didn't work out, and because I lived in Brooklyn and these guys were lived in Union, Jersey, and they knew each other. One of them it was Eagles Claw, and the other one was um Samba. And it is a martial arts from Israel. I don't.
Well, okay.
Yeah, it's a
I'm not.
martial art. Yeah, he
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, he came from
Was it Krav Maga?
exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Krav
Okay.
Maga. Yeah, I thought it was Samba, Sambo, whatever. So he was he was they were in Vietnam, and he took he had some association with the Jewish or something like that, whatever. So, but anyway, the point was they lived it over there. I lived it in Brooklyn, and they were pocketing stuff, their money, and I just separate from them, and I just let go to school, you know. And all the students just quit because they saw what was going on, and they didn't like it, you know.
Wow. So did you get discouraged from teaching after that when you went back to Brooklyn?
No, no, no. I went back to Brooklyn, and I still had a group of students that I used to teach, plus my wife and her friends, and I used to teach them the Hanga and a little bit of Tai Chi, because when you learn the Hong
Wow.
system, you have to learn some Tai Chi, you know. And they had bad knees, you know, and their health wasn't that great, you know. My wife's knees and my students' knees, you know, and then thank God some of them still continue, and they don't have no more pain. They
Wow.
don't have those pains no more.
So
Those
let me
back.
ask you a question. Fast forward to last year, September 20th. You find out a martial arts tournament, and it's for people that are of age. And you came all the way from Brooklyn to the Bronx first to work out, and I shared some information with. How did you even find out about the tournament?
No, I don't. I found out about the tournament. I think it was in YouTube or through my telephone. And then I think I did saw you or something like that. I said, let me, I saw the exercise you were doing and this and that. And I said, like, wow, they're so simple. I never seen those exercises. And then my thigh and my behind, everything was hurting down there. Let me go down there, and we talk. And that's when I went down. You and the sensei student started doing those exercises, and I was in shock. I was in shock that I found out about the tournament, but I said, I'm scared because my thigh and this, my legs, and I started doing those exercises. It was like I got up like I didn't have the pain no more.
It was like therapy, right? Because you're working on the side of your knee, your hips, and just doing the footwork. I know most people will be intimidated when they see videos of myself, student master Thai sparring. They think that they're gonna come. I'm gonna spar with them. I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is share with them information that they can go to utilize, and hopefully it helps them be able to perform better.
Believe me, it helped. Knock on wood. That exercise, I still do it. I got my map in the floor, and I do exactly what you tell me to do. I do it, and and it's work. I have no pain, no nothing. I don't have those pains in my legs no more.
Wow,
You
it's
know.
not something. It's sad to think that in that school, most people have no idea. Really, it's physical therapy. Really, it just adding some blood circulation to different body parts.
After that, I put the how you call it, the walking thing that I got it next to my bed every morning. I get up and I walk on it. You know.
Hey, what do you think about when people think that people shy or they go to do martial arts? What do you believe about that?
I didn't get that. And you started cutting down. Well,
Oh, so sometimes people think, hey, what's wrong with you? You crazy. Stop doing that kung fu stuff. You're too old.
oh no, that's uh when I went to the tournament, they were scared that they were telling me, "Oh, Poppy, watch it because you might wind up in the hospital. You haven't trained like that and this and that, and you shouldn't be. You have to be careful because this and that. You might get hurt. You're not a young blood no more." And then I said, "No, but I feel that that urge. Like I need to know because I want to know where I'm at. For myself, not you know I want to know where I'm at. And then." And that's what I was telling. I used to tell them. I tell my kids, "This is I want to know. Well, God forbid that if I'm in the street and there's nobody with me, I need to know how to defend myself. And I got to start doing jumping jacks to get ready. And then defend
Right.
myself. You have to be ready when you least suspect it. You
Or
know.
you competed at the first tournament. Were you surprised of the fact that were there? Or
Oh, that it was great. I saw there were a lot of people were familiar, but I just couldn't put my because this is such a long time I've been away from the martial arts, and when I saw everybody there, old, young, all different ages, and and I saw the old timers there, and they were like doing their forms. I couldn't believe some of these ladies there doing their forms, and somebody they were calling grandma. I'm all the grandma. That's a grandma. She was kicking and doing rolls, and I see another guy up there, grandpa, like with white hair, jumping up and down, doing spinning back. Wait, 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 wait. I can't do that, you know? I
Hey, so
couldn't believe it.
listen, it's interesting because I even went all the way to Brooklyn, and at the time in your house, wonderful. And then your wife included came all the way to a birthday party in the Boogie Down Bronx. How was that?
Ah, that was crazy. My wife enjoyed that. She said she was looking at. I never seen a bunch of guys having so much fun all together there, like a big family there. She enjoyed herself, you know. And I was laughing my hat off. And then I'm looking at you. You was all over the place. I thought this guy's going to get a heart attack, you know. I would see you in one corner, suddenly you in the other side. I'm over there like, what this guy's doing? I thought he break danced, he jumped, and then his wife comes with a spinning back kick. And I was like, what the heck is going on here?
Well, even in the party tournament, I was all over the place there too, right?
Yeah, oh, forget it. You without a speaker, without a microphone, screaming out, and everybody heard you. Believe me.
So not only did you come to the first tournament, and people came from all over the country, people that hadn't seen each other in 40 years, which was crazy. Then you came all the way to the Bronx, and you see people that came from every borough. There was over 60 people there that actually came from throughout and it was a cold night. It wasn't an easy night on a Saturday night. It was raining. It wasn't a good, and they still made it. And I
Yeah,
announced it only 10 days before, and
and
we had the
not
Valencia
only
kid.
made it, they were breakdancing. They were going off. They went over there to hold wars. They were getting down.
So now you even stood for the next event. Um, what do you think about that?
This event coming now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, like I said, I'm getting ready, you know. Hopefully let's see what happens, you know.
Well, I want to say I appreciate you. I want to thank you. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but what happened, guys? We did the initial interview, and there was an echo. This time, there's no echo. And what I'm gonna do, just so you know, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, I'm gonna link to you and a bunch of other people. It's the same link because I'm gonna show what I believe is something that's important for you guys. It's gonna be your own history and a map. And I got a commercial I'm doing for you guys. So this is not about me, it's about us. All of us are number one. We're all important. So my way as a promoter, to me, I don't promote the tournament. I promote the individuals that are part of the tournament because to me that's something that makes more sense to me. And not that other people have to do it, but that's my way to show my gratitude for people
Wow.
who are taking the money and effort to come to participate in something that I this crazy idea came up with. So that's why it says here, see right, look where you started, you know. So I
Mm-hmm.
started making sure that the OGs, all the guys and all the girls, the Unified Martial Arts Network, UMAN, Fountain of Youth, National Tour, and we have the Region 11 launch coming soon. People from all over the country will be there again. And I want to thank you, sir. I appreciate
Yes.
you. And
Thank you.
all I can say is that it's all of us collectively that makes it happen. I don't care if you're a spectator, I don't care if you're a judge, a timekeeper, scorekeeper. Everyone is part of the event. And I believe that it'll help people get inspired to start training more. Maybe they'll be able to perform better and live longer, as opposed to most martial arts tournament is children and young people. And by the time the seniors or elders come in, everybody's gone. Well, here, your guys are the stars. And that's what's important to me, to show the respect to those people who earned it, still around.
But since you inspired me, that's why I came over. That's why I'm back in the tournaments.
Well, I appreciate that. Listen, guys, when I say AB, see if I want you to say see ya.
see,
AB,
see ya.
at the tippity top. God bless you. Best wishes. Thank you very much. And thank you all guys for watching. God bless. Good night.
Okay. Bye.